Though we know who we are, yet we know not what we may be. So maybe I'm the one, or maybe I'm crazy. I'm from.
Welcome back to your No Malarkey Guide in Machine Learning. My name is Kalu, and we just got done figuring out the standard deviation manually. Congratulations. Give yourself a hand of applause. You guys did great. Wonderful job. Excellent job. But in this video, we're going to go ahead and do those exact same steps, except we're going to add a bit of abstraction. Abstraction just means removing the details of. So all this math that we did, we want to abstract that away into a method that automatically does all these calculations for us. So in order to do that, we're just going to use a Python function. In a function, you also can hear it called a method. A method is just a function that belongs to a class. Don't worry too much if you don't understand those words, because as you know, if you're learning new discipline, I believe in the Kalu method of learning new discipline, and that is a bottom-up, not top-down approach. That is following inductive reasoning and not deductive reasoning, and that is learning by examples, not learning by doing a whole bunch of rules. So let's go ahead and do by example. We want to get all this stuff we've done right now into our own function. So we have this built-in pandas method .std right here. We want to write our own get std that's going to get or retrieve a standard deviation. So why don't we go ahead and see def gets std, and in here for our function we're going to need you to pass it a set of observations, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in here we're going to do the exact same things we did. We're going to get our n equals observations dot count, and our observations needs to be a pandas series in order for it to have this dot count method. If you don't understand what a pandas series is, just know you need to do the same things to be able to use this. We'll talk about that as we go on. So first we got the n, and then why don't we go ahead and get the square error sum. So we got first we need the square error list, and to do that we use this for loop right here. Where is that for loop that we used? We first initialized an empty list called square error list, and then we used this for loop to get for each observation in all our observations we got the error, and then we appended that error to our list. So at the end we got a list of 1,460 errors, and then we sum that. Actually this 3 lines of 1 initializing your list, in 2 and 3 right here, or 2, 3, and 4, which is going through your for loop, getting your error, and then appending that error into your initialized list. We can do all of that in one step using a list comprehension. So again, this whole entire step of first initializing your square error list right here to an empty list, and then going through a for loop to, for every observation in your list of observations, getting the error and then appending that error to the square error list, can all be done in one step using a list comprehension. And we're going to do that now. So first we need square error list equals, and then this 3 lines of code can be written as this. So first we'll get our error. Our error is observation minus area.mean, or actually observations.mean, right? Because observation is what we're going to call our list, whether it's our area or whether it's our greater living area, or whether it's our ground area or basement area or bathroom area or garage area or sales price. We're just going to call them observations. So observations.mean, and then we're going to get right here the square of that is VC, just like this. And then we want to do that for each observation, in all of our observations. And then we want to end that list comprehension with this, and ta-da! This 1 line of code is the same as these 3 lines of code right here. And it is actually 1 line of code. You can see it just went down right here because of space purposes. So now 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we have our square error list, we need to get our square error sum, which is square error sum equals square error equals the sum of square error list. Great. So now, just like this, just like we have here. So now we need to get our variance. And again, we can just copy this right here. Our variance equals our square error sum divided by. So why don't we just go ahead and copy this? I'm going to copy. And then paste. There we go. And then we're going to need to import just same we have here from math, import sqr, and then get our standard deviation. Actually, let's get our standard deviation. Our standard deviation equals just the square root of our variance, just like we did. Standard deviation equals the square root of our variance. And now why don't we return that standard deviation? And there it is. There is our function. So why don't we try and test out this function? So we can do get std, and we can give it our list of observations for our area, right? And there it is. It gives out 5, 2, 5, which is the same thing as if we use the built-in standard deviation method that comes with each pandas data frame. Look at that. We built our own get standard deviation function. And this is an example of abstraction. Instead of doing this all right here, we can do it just in, we can abstract all that detail, hide away all those details of how we actually get the standard deviation into a function. And anytime we want to get the standard deviation, we just go ahead and call this function with our observation. So why don't we go ahead and get the standard deviation, get standard deviation for our second independent variable, and that is the basement area. I'm sorry, the garage area. And there it is. And we can again use the built-in standard deviation method that pandas provides us, and we can see that we are getting the same figure. So this is the two things we need. If you guys remember again why we are doing this is because in order to get our correlation, we need to get both the deviation of our independent variable, for which we're finding the correlation of, and our dependent variable, for which we are finding the correlation of. So we want to get the correlation because we need to figure out all these correlations to calculate our first coefficient and our second coefficient. So that is how we abstract away and create our own method, or our own function for how to find the standard deviation. Thank you guys for following along. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and create a method. Now that we have the standard deviation, we are going to continue finding this correlation. So how can we get the correlation between our first independent variable, area, and our predictor, our target, which is our independent variable, price. So see you guys at the next video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share with at least 10 to 15 of your friends. If you're African, you gotta share with at least 100 to 500 of your friends. And I will see you guys at the next video. Peace.
Financial freedom, my only hope.